I've just come back from a visit to China. I thought I'd share some thoughts about what I learned, and I always learn plenty. Unfortunately, this time, if I was hoping to get away from Trump-mania after the US election result, I was disappointed, of course. Everyone very interested in what we and anybody else thought about how Trump was likely to behave as president compared to as a candidate. But probably the interest a bit more introspective and thoughtful rather than some of the feverish kind of fascination I think we've seen globally. And part of that, I think, is because I think even at a business level and an investor level in China, people recognise that Trump actually potentially provides some opportunity. If he vacates some diplomatic or trade space, it does provide China with some chance to take on a larger international role. I think also the flow-on from Trump has been to encourage a bit more discussion about domestic politics, which is something very new. In my travels to China, I don't think I've ever heard of domestic politics as a kind of discussion point, and this time it was for the first time ever. So President Xi's elevation to core leadership status has made that a topic of interest. And most of the time kind of characterised as a tussle between the core and the provinces, if you like, as something which has characterised Chinese political history, in fact, down through the ages. So in actual fact, you could talk about his elevation from a macro perspective as implying a bit more policymaker control. As well, the renminbi, a big discussion point, as it has been since 811, the devaluation in August last year. Panic's probably too strong a term, but certainly fascination on the exchange rate, and I think maybe some views governed by China's history of having largely a managed exchange rate. People looking at currency depreciation as implying something bad about the domestic economy, when obviously it doesn't necessarily need to imply that, particularly if the currency is responding appropriately to some external forces, which is our view. And on the economy itself, actually, I've come away a little bit more constructive, or at least more confident in our somewhat constructive view. China has some leverage issues, no question, has some structural adjustment tasks, no doubt about that, but in our view they continue to imply a long-term secular slowdown in growth rather than some sort of crash. Capacity cuts in the coal and steel sectors clearly are real. The rallies in those prices we've seen would kind of tell us they're real, because even with speculative movements in markets, you don't get those sort of price responses unless you have some fundamental improvement. The housing sector, to my mind, presents the same metrics it has for recent years, which is top-down wise, looks like a bubble, smells like a bubble. You look at it bottom up, hard to identify what the catalyst is that actually makes it a bubble, or in fact just going to bring the souffle down. It seems like, for example, on the macroprudential side, that they're becoming increasingly granular and forensic in the way they look at mortgage applications. And this time particularly astounded by the growth in the digital economy. Literally, I think I was the only person I saw using cash. Certainly in my 5 visits to Starbucks while I was on the mainland, I was literally the only person that used cash. So Alipay and WeChat forms of payment are now ubiquitous. Mobike, which is kind of the London-style bike hire service you can use in the city. You book on your iPhone, bikes are GPS and SIM card enabled. You leave the bike wherever you like, somebody will pick it up. So overall, I think China, the politics definitely a talking point, both externally and domestically. The currency definitely in play, but corporates responding the right way and recognising that the exchange rate now is much more flexible, and the economy feeling a bit more comfortable about our view that the adjustment is orderly and constructive rather than disorderly and compressed. Thank you.